Hello. Um, this is a review of the Doctor's Downfall, Series 1, Episode 1 of True15. Um, I'm going to try and make this as unedited as possible because, well, I just want to kind of, especially the beginning bit, I want to make it sincere. Um, I don't want have to cut anything out because otherwise, it might not seem, might not seem right. Especially for like a review of my own episode that I made. So yeah, just beginning. Um, Before I start, there is ginormous spoiler warnings for the episode. So I assume that everyone watching this, if you're even interested, has watched the episode. If not, I really would recommend it. It is something I'm really proud of. Um, and I hope you enjoy it. So, first off, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who helped me, who I guess encouraged me to make this. The voice actor's absolutely brilliant. Um, the people that helped me with the script, like, edited small things, like, really, really great. And also the people that, just actually read through the entire script, actually properly critiqued it. Because like what I hate the most is when someone actually just looks at what you've done or reads what you've done and just says, "Yeah, it's all right." You know, they just say that it's good, like they say it's good or something like that. I want proper critiquing because otherwise, one, how am I meant to improve, and two, how am I meant to make something that's impressive? So all those people that did that, thank you so much. That was, yeah, really helpful, especially for this episode since it was mostly just a tester. I'll get into later. Um, Again, all the voice actors. Let me just get your names up, just so I can read them out because it is incredible. Like you are really, really good at what you did. It's insane. Just go mute it. Um, Sorry if you heard that. I should have really got this already. Really massive well done to Chris O'Master for giving such an amazing doctor-y vibe. The person who played, because he played the 14th Doctor. Also, thank you to the person who played Sky Wayfarer, and again, absolutely amazing job. You were so clear. Um, I could understand every word you said with your lines and with Chris O'Master's lines. Actually, with everyone's lines. I don't think the narration, no, sorry, the subtitles were needed. I did them anyway, but you know, so clear. At the receptionist, Ghost Palm, again, you did an amazing job. Thank you for redoing those lines that I asked you to do because I had to ask him to redo a few lines because I'm clear, and he was so cooperative. It was great. Um, the lead audio sequel, again, amazing job. Really gave me a kind of evil guy vibe, whilst at the same time a good guy vibe. Like someone who's trying to be evil, but they're really not good at it. And again, Wayfarer for the TARDIS voice. Um, Again, great, really great. Thanks for everyone because I'm so thankful because like this took a few years to make, and it's always been kind of. I mean, I never expected to do a audio drama. It just came up and about audio dramas. I was like, audio drama would be kind of good to do that. Um, so I've always wanted to be the Doctor at some point, which I have been now, and um, this audio drama has allowed me to do that because this will give you a bit of backstory about why I chose to be the 15th. When I was little, around about the time David Tennant was like halfway through his little run, um, I said to my parents, everyone around, I said I was going to be the 15th Doctor when I'm older. And yeah, now that's come true. I mean, it did take a few years of writing, just over and over and over again, of just repeating the process of writing. But it came through. Everything sorted out. It took a few years, and to get everything together. A few weeks to do all the editing, but really, really good product, I think. So again, thank you to everyone who helped me. Thank you to everyone who was around me at the time. Literally, thank you to everyone who made this possible, I guess. I kind of make it sound like I'm receiving an award. Also, sorry that my voice is so dull. I've kind of got a flu type thing. Doesn't seem to be wanting to go away. Don't worry, it's not COVID. I keep getting tested. It's not that. Anyway, moving on to the next topic. I want to do a quick summary of the episode. Again, spoiler warning. As well as you might see. I wanted to say a spoiler warning because spoilers. So watch the episode if you haven't. And also, after I'm summarising it, I'm going to be talking about positives, negatives, process, all that type of stuff, because it is a review of my own work. And so you might see the episode in a different light. You might think it's really, I guess, crap. And if you don't want that, then don't watch this, I guess. Anyway, I'll just summarise the episode quickly. So basically, the 14th Doctor's like blowing up a ship because he thinks it's attacking the Earth. Sorry, that was my finger. If you had that click. The 14th is blowing up a ship because he thinks it's attacking Earth. He falls down to Earth, tries to catch the TARDIS, but like he tries to get in the TARDIS, kind of like when the 12th Doctor tries to catch the TARDIS. He succeeds, 12th Doctor does. 14th, he kind of gets knocked out from the pressure from falling so quickly. Then this girl walking a dog finds the 14th Doctor. He's unconscious. Then he wakes up. They talk, and then the 14th Doctor sees regenerating. I guess because of how old he is, because he's a very, very old Doctor. He's been around for like 2,000 years, I think. I haven't really finalised that one. By the way, planning my Doctor to be around for about 100 years, so it's kind of a big difference. So Sky finds him. The 14th Doctor then begins to regenerate into 15th Doctor. 15th Doctor is like, I guess, really impressed with a lot of his aspects, especially his eyesight, because it's so improved compared to 14th Doctor, and he threw away his sunglasses, whatever. I don't know what glasses he had, or maybe a monocle. I think it's a monocle. Sorry, I can't even remember my own episode. The amount of times I listened to it and read it is like insane. I still can't remember it anyway. Because of his amazing eyesight, he reads a sign in the distance that says Bad Wolf Industries. For all of you who've watched Doctor Who, you know what Bad Wolf means, especially new one. New Doctor Who, it's not a new one. They go after Bad Wolf Industries. They look around. Sorry, I'm sniffing as well. They look around. They see a man. I guess they think he's hypnotized, but actually he is being possessed by a Audrey and Baby, who has been psychically separated from their parents because of what happens later in the episode. Everyone, when and because this man's hypnotized, he jumps out the window again because the doctor accidentally hurt them, and because of that, I guess the Audrian baby wanted a quicker death rather than a slower death, so jumped out the window and died. And people on the road look up, see the doctor looking out the window and think it's the doctor in sky, so they run back to the TARDIS while the police are coming. They analyze the liquid that bled out of the hypnotized man. It was like this black liquid. Turned out to be amniotic fluid. They go back in time so they can carry on looking around because they are really interested in what this stuff is. They go and visit. They go back in time and visit the company's boss. Oh yeah, also I forgot something. When they were checking around the labs and before the hypnotized man came, they saw the COVID pill because back when I wrote this, there wasn't even the cure for COVID or anything like that. They found a COVID pill and it had this amniotic fluid in. Okay, and that's why they went to go see the boss. They went back in time to see the boss. I'm really bad at explaining. I'm sorry. The boss turns out to be an Audrian, specifically the leader of all the Audrians, and they are really pissed off at the Doctor for blowing up the ship because they know it's the Doctor, not based on his looks, but based off on the psychic energy, mental energy waves things that it gives off. They can just tell because they can tell from detecting from his brain. And yeah, they get really angry at him for blowing up the ship. Which basically that ship was the last ship in battle because that's the last Audrian ship ever. Only ship with Audrians on. Only Audrian ship ever at that time. Because they were fighting the Jagrafess, which you'll know from series 1 of Doctor Who, 4500 and all that. And yeah, they're fighting Jagrafess. Obviously, the Jagrafess won. Honestly, don't know how. Because they can't move, but I guess they have better weapons. And because that caused their race to be almost extinct. Like the Audrian leader was the only Audrian there out of all of them, and he was the only one left. And to get back his race, he injected people, or he somehow got the amniotic fluid into people's bodies, because once it makes contact with a organic material, that does not include plants, by the way, it will absorb into the body and it will impregnate the person with the Audrian baby, and then the Audrians then have a psychic bond between their baby and parent. Then, because they're angry at the Doctor, they pump his blood full of this liquid. This causes a 15-hour regeneration cycle to kick in, and this regeneration cycle causes the Audrians to be hypnotized. In this hypnosis, the Audrians lose the psychic link between their young and themselves, freeing all the people impregnated. That includes all the people who have taken the pill, because yes, the pill does cause the impregnation as well, and it also makes the pills defective. They then trust the Doctor because they've always looked up to the Doctor until this point, so it's kind of easy to hypnotize them, as well as them being beings which literally go on psychic energy and stuff like that. The Doctor they leave with the Doctor and they go to a hospital where there's a machine that can save their species. At the end, the Doctor asks Sky if she wants to travel with him, and she says no, basically, because she wants to think about it. And then they go home. Sky forgets her dog in the TARDIS, and that's it. If that was a bad explanation, I'm sorry, but I guess that'll just encourage you to watch the episode. Yes, I'm really good at this type of stuff. Anyway, so yeah, that's the summary. Now I can start talking about the process. Ages ago, I just finished like series. I think I just finished binging watching the new series from series 1 to 10, and I was like, because like towards the end of that, I thought the episodes were getting a bit, eh. They were still really good, but they were kind of just getting a bit iffy. I mean, especially in series 9, in my opinion. Um, and so I decided I wanted to try and write an episode. This was the type of thing that I wrote. It wasn't exact. It involved kind of the same thing as the episode Rose, where the what's it called? The London Eye. Why did I forget that? Is like I guess a beam type thing. It kind of like that causes the impregnation. But that was my first episode idea. I kind of just wrote it all in once. It was like no description at all in the narration, no nothing. It was just kind of mostly dialogue, and that's about it. I mean, it did get better towards the end of the episode, but that's really where it ends. Um, and sorry, I've lost my complete train of thought. Hang on. Yeah, and after I'd written that episode, sorry, after I'd written that episode, sorry, there's stuff going on in the background. After I've written that episode, I had I thought, wow, this is actually really, really fun. Because when I was little, I used to write loads, like just normal stories. Kind of got bored of it because of school. Kind of ruined it for me, I guess. But then I thought, you know, I feel creative today. I'll write this, and by the end of it, I felt really, I guess, fulfilled. I don't know. I just felt like something had come back to me. So I wrote another one. That will be again the exact same episode. That was the next episode was also kind of like my first try type thing. It was based on that, but from then on, it is like planned to perfection. So don't worry. No, well, not perfection, but you know what I mean. So yeah, after I'd written the second episode, I was like, wow, that's even better. Okay, well, we got to have the Doctor's first outing to be even better than this. So I went back and improved it, and then I carried on writing the series. I got to about episode 5, 6, 7. Let's say episode 6, and I went back to it, read it through, and I was like, oh, because this was around the time I was about to send it to all the people who had auditioned, and I was just like, oh, no, that's not good, is it? So I rewrote it again. Each time I rewrote it was slightly different, with the same concept. And each time I wrote it, I always got stumped on how the Doctor would stop the Aldrians, or how the Doctor would escape from the Aldrians, or how I didn't want the Doctor to kill the Aldrians off, because um, the Aldrians kind of respected the Doctor. The Aldrians are also a near extinct race, but so I literally had no clue on how to do it. I also wanted him. This changed from my first plan where I had them going outside, running off to, the London Eye and turning it off or whatever. I wanted them to stay inside the building to make it not so complex. Since it's an audio story, I thought maybe if I keep changing locations, it's going to be really confusing to the listener because you don't have that visual. Um, you can't see anything, to help you along. You just have your, what you're listening to. So what I did was the 15-hour regeneration cycle, which I will talk about later. But yeah, that was basically my process. I want to go on to the review now of my episode. This is probably going to be the longest part of the episode, not of the video, because there's going to be a lot in it. So first off, I want to talk about the writing. As I said before, overall this episode was pretty well written. I mean, there's some parts that could be improved or changed. Let's start with the positives because you always want to hear the positive things first. This was my third try doing it. So the description was there was quite a lot of description. You could listen to it and actually imagine what was going on. In my opinion, I think the story flowed quite nicely, going from the ship to Sky to like Sky to meeting the Doctor to meeting the new Doctor to going to this building to going out of the building to going back to the building to and related to that, I think I introduced all the characters in quite a nice way, like having the Doctor running down a corridor, placing explosives everywhere. It was a very exciting way to start an episode. In comparison, introducing Sky in a way, just like leaving the house, going to walk her dog, very ordinary, very normal, until something obviously happens. The only character I think I would say which wasn't introduced in the best way was probably the Audrian leader, just because the Doctor suddenly said, "Oh, let's go visit them." That's all I'd say. I knew when I was writing this that I wanted to include some type of time travel. Now, when I was writing it to begin with, the only bit of time travel there was when the Doctor and Sky go from the Sky's house to Oxford. They go back in time, I guess, 3 hours. But then with this try, I actually incorporated more time travel when the Doctor and Sky had to go back in time again, to be able to enter the building. And actually, I think that helps quite a lot of the story because when they first go into the building, nothing really seems to be wrong apart from the pills and apart from the weird man, but the receptionist seems normal. Everything like that seems normal. Whereas when they go back in time, everything's very not right. Basically, like the receptionist got a very dull voice. Well done, goes Palm, by the way, and all that stuff. And yeah, so sorry, I lost my complete train of thought because my water bottle was making noise. Sorry. This episode also adds a load, I mean, not a load, quite a nice chunk of lore, like my own lore with the Audrians and their little backstories and their biology and all that stuff, as well as some lore that they were in a war with the Jaguarfest. Also, going back to biology, the Audrians being related to the Slitheen, or aka the Raxacorico Phalapatorians. Phalapatorians. I just had to show off there. I'm joking. Um, everyone in this episode has quite a different personality. So the 14th Doctor, very erratic, very excitable, very but when stuff starts to go wrong, they're very quiet, very calm, all that type of stuff. The Sky, very calm, I guess, concerned, worried. How you would react if some guy fell down to earth and took you away in some magical police box. Very concerned about what's happening. Um, as well as that, the 15th Doctor has a very, very different personality, or what I think anyway, to the 14th, because, I was scared that when I was writing the 14th Doctor compared to the 15th Doctor, they would have such similar personalities, it would be almost impossible to tell the two apart, but actually, whereas the 14th is very erratic and, all the stuff I mentioned before, the 15th is a lot more calm, a lot more thinking about what's happening, gets mood swings a lot more, tries to be cheerful with those little chuckles every few sentences, stuff like that. Because obviously, the 15th Doctor was kind of disappointed with who they were in their previous incarnation because of the amount of mistakes that the 14th Doctor made. This will be made more clear as the series goes on. Yeah. As well as this, like every regeneration, the Doctor is pretty quirky, saying he's been put on backwards and saying that right is left and left is right, and getting all annoyed and then getting scared about how tall he is because he's scared of heights and stuff like that, and then talking about how he's a moaner and all that stuff. So basically, the personality is very, very diverse. Oh, also the Audrey leader, kind of bitter, obviously, but I don't think he truly wants to hurt anyone. That was the kind of vibe I was going for. He doesn't want to hurt anyone. He just wants to save his, people. Because it's not his fault the Jagrafess attacked. Because yes, it was that way around. The Jagrafess attacked the Aldrians. Um, as well as all the previous, the story fits the audio drama structure surprisingly well. As this is my first story, I had no idea if this would work, which is why a lot of the stuff is kind of eh. But yeah, I think it fit quite well. So now I understand. Now that I've done this episode, I understand how the structure's meant to be, and I now know that I've been doing it mostly right. Okay, now we gonna move on to the negatives. It's not something I particularly like to go talk about, but like I think it's required for this type of thing because I could, later if I want to, um, go back and remake these episodes, and I could watch this video later and be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I totally agree. But also there could be these other things. It's my opinion now compared to my opinion if I do want to make and remake these episodes. Um, so negatives. Really weird theme. Um, about the Aldrians getting impregnated, well, being impregnated and amniotic fluid. I think that's a bit weird. And I don't know what I was thinking when I was writing that. I just kind of started writing and thought it was really cool. And when I kept reading it through, like when I kept redoing it, I kept reading it. I was like, oh, I can't change that. I couldn't bring myself to change it, so I didn't. I think this episode as well relied too much on like the writing. It required too much on the narration. Um, it. I need to because like the narration is good. It's great. It builds a picture, but I think I did too much of it because what narration does is it kind of like breaks the story up, it slows the story down, and that's why you don't want too much of it. I really sound like a professional here. And I think the amount of narration I put in was way too much. I think I should have put the description I put in the narration into the dialogue instead. Like, instead of saying, a red car drove past the doctor, we could have the doctor saying, that's a strange car, and then the sound effect of a car. I don't need to rely so much on narration. It was a cop-out at the end. This is the bit that disappoints me most about this episode, the ending of how the Doctor solves it. The 15-hour regeneration cycle causing hypnosis is a real cop-out. It's so disappointing. I love the theme of the episode, whilst also saying it's weird, but but every time I wrote it, I just couldn't think of a good way that the Doctor will either escape or stop the Audrians, or both. And that was my solution. And the new narrator, because we got a new narrator now, it's not me, did actually come up with a way better idea where the Doctor uses his regeneration energy to kind of blind the Audrians and escape that way. And although that's a lot better than what I did, as I said, I don't want the Doctor to harm the Audrians, because as well as trying to fix his past mistake, he also is on good terms with the Audrians, and I don't think he should hurt them in any way, and that does include blinding them. Another bad thing, it focused on coronavirus. Now, although interesting, it relates to real world events. I don't think it's something that I want to bring up during a Doctor Who episode. My number one rule when writing, I mean, I've obviously built these rules up as I've been writing. My number one rule is to not include negative events in the real world. I mean, you can allude to them, like you can say about climate change. You can say, oh yeah, like the companions can step out of the TARDIS, and they, like in the future, in the Earth's future, and be like, oh, yes, it's very hot here, isn't it? And Doctor can bring it up then, but not have a whole episode surrounded by it. And because basically, when I watch Doctor Who, I use it as kind of an escape from the real world. So when I watch Doctor Who, coronavirus doesn't exist. When I watch Doctor Who, global warming doesn't exist. All that stuff. Just for that hour, and then I can go back to reality and be like, okay, we need to sort all this stuff out. But this is one time where, like Rosa, like this happened in Rosa, this exact same problem happened in Rosa. And to be fair to Chibnall, it is a really, really easy thing to fall into, because, real world events are interesting to talk about. I just don't think it's it's very Doctor Who. And although it doesn't feel like it that much in this episode, what I don't want to start doing is talking about real world events first, and then doing monsters later. I want monsters to be the primary thing, and they are in this episode. I just don't want to focus on that, on the depressing stuff in the real world. I want to focus on the monsters and the intricacies of this other universe. I guess the Doctor's from a different universe, but you know what I mean. Now, all these changes will be fixed. I mean, obviously, the episode-specific ones can't be fixed because they're specific to that episode, but they will be fixed. As I said, it was just a tester episode, just to know what I could do, and because like when you're writing, you don't know how long you're meant to be writing for. So like I know that when you're on font 11 in Arial, like Arial font size 11, A4 page, you can about 25 pages is an hour. 40 pages is an hour 30. Well, I guess 35 pages is an hour 30. I know that now, but I didn't know it when I was writing this, so I needed to make sure the length, and now I do. So, and that's why the 15-hour regeneration cycle, which really still annoys me, is such a quick end and such a cop out because I thought, oh, I don't even know how long this episode was. I think it was. Hang on, let me bring it up. It was. Actually, I don't. Oh, I don't have it on. I don't actually know. I think it was about 24 pages. It was 24 pages, and that was an hour and 1 minute. So now I know that around about 20 minutes to 25 minutes um is an hour. Um. So yeah. Now I want to move on to editing. Um. I just want to mention this was my first time editing an audio drama. Um. So I don't know all the intricacies of editing an audio drama. It took about 2 weeks to edit. Um, Actually, saying that, I did edit something audio related for Gary the Word. You can see that I've been talking about him a lot recently, or previously in my work. Um, I have done something audio related, but it was only a mock-up version just to know how it sounded for him. So it wasn't actually anything, proper. It wasn't anything like that. There's no sound. Well, there was some sound effects, there was some music, and it wasn't all edited to perfection. It was just a quick little day job. And so because of that, because it's my first time, because I don't know what I'm doing, it did take 2 weeks to edit, but I did speed up over time. To edit this, I did use DaVinci Resolve. I edited some of the audio files in Audacity just because sometimes it was easier, but most of the time it was in Resolve because I knew how it worked better. Just some water. Um, Now I want to talk about the process of how I made this episode. This is just the way I did it. It's not the right way. It's the way I did it. So to begin with, I brought in everyone's audio files, just the voices. I then cut them up into every line. So, um, for the narrator, it would be a man walks down the corridor and blah 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 blah. Cut. He's placed. Another creature comes from around the corner and shoots. Cut. Stuff like that. And I've just split all that. Same with the doctor when he's saying, "You can't catch me." Cut. Like split there. Um, and then woohoo, cut, and then where is she, cut. And the voice actors did do each line about 1 to 4 times, dependent. So I'll choose which ones I liked out of those, and get rid of all of the duplicates that I didn't like. I'd put them in order. I'd organise them in order. I'd add all the sound effects in, and which means I'd have to move around some of the files. And then I'd add the music, and I do each of these in sections. So I did the first section I did was from the beginning to the title sequence, and then from the end of the title sequence to when the 14th Doctor regenerates, then from when the 15th is there to when they go into the TARDIS, stuff like that. I do each section, I perfect each section before moving. I perfect each section before moving on to the next one. Because I want to perfect each one. I want to make each one like its own little project. Which is why you'll see on my channel that I do a non-narrated before the intro thing. Can't even remember what I called it. I called it. Whoops. I called it. Beginning of Ep 1 without narration. And then the most recent one, beginning of Ep 2 without narration. So it's like the beginning without narration. You can see I do that. That just shows that I do it in sections. At the end, I just I listen. I export it as like a MP3 or something like an audio file, like a WAV or something. Send it to everyone who's worked on it, and we all listen to it over and over, editing small, tiny things to make it better. And then I add the graphics in, which for this story was the thumbnail, the title sequence, the inside the TARDIS, the bio on the Aldrians, and the view from from outside the hospital window. If I'm missing any, I'm an idiot. And yeah, that's basically my process. So I guess now I can move on to the positives of my editing. Those being, surprisingly, there was actually no sudden drop in quality. I was expecting to eventually get tired of editing such a long video, but I didn't, because I was enjoying myself the entire time, and the quality was just there the entire time. Well, the same quality, which is good. Surprisingly, again, all the music fits the mood and tone, and when there isn't meant to be music, there isn't, so there isn't too much music there. Something I really, really struggle with, but I think I did pretty well on this one, so pat on the back for me. The sound effects work. Actually, talking about sound effects, with a lot of them, I did just combine 2 sound effects together, or 3 sound effects together to create one. Like the beginning, when the Doctor's placing the bombs on the wall, the little bloop noise is about 2 or 3 sound effects mixed together, which is quite good. There were no mistakes whatsoever, so well done to all the voice actors. Well done to me for not making some dumb mistake. Basically, well done for me again for not making some dumb mistake in the script. Although I probably did, and the voice actors just fix those mistakes. So well done them. As I said earlier, like in the writing, the story flowed quite well as an audio drama, and it flowed quite well editorially. I don't know if that's a word. It flowed quite well in an editing perspective. It didn't feel any jerky. Like the music didn't suddenly stop. It slowly faded out. The only time it did stop was when Sky said, "This is dumb," no, sorry, Sky said the TARDIS was ugly, and as soon as she said ugly, the dramatic music stopped because it was meant to be comedic. Negatives. As I said earlier, it does rely too much on narration, but I couldn't really change that since the story had already been written, and if I just took some of the narration lines out, it wouldn't work so well. There's like one tiny glitch that you can only hear if you've got kind of good headphones. This is just an issue because of one of the audio files not corrupted, but went a bit weird. That's mostly mine because I have a really bad mic, as you can probably tell from what I'm speaking through. So I'm sorry for that. I'm trying to. I really want to get a better one, but like no one knows I'm doing this. So like, if I just suddenly rock up with a mic, they're gonna be like, "Oh, what's that for?" And they're gonna be all questioning me. And I want to be able to have a series, like a full series, before I actually say anything. A few of the sound effects or the music don't sound 100%, and although they do fit, um, the problem with them is the length. They're longer than they're meant to be, so I have to like shorten them or cut them, and because of that, they then have to be transitioned out, um, which does just sound a little weird, but it's the best way I could do it. There was another case where, in the case of the TARDIS, when it's in full flight, when it's, you know, finished taking off and it's in flight, you can hear the sound of another TARDIS hum, which is weird because I've already got a TARDIS hum. So you just hear two TARDIS hums at the same time, and that's a bit strange to hear. But I mean, I'll see if I can find a better full flight. But honestly, I don't mind it. It's a little annoyance, but I don't particularly mind it. I just think it like maybe the TARDIS just makes that noise like another noise to show that it's in full flight and that everything's all good. Anyway, um, that's I'm pretty sure everything I wanted to talk about. I mean, my list is finished, so because I do have some notes here that I'm reading from. I'm not reading them exactly. I'm just got a little note and saying I'm talking about what the note says. So yeah, I think that's it. Again, a massive thank you to everyone who worked on this. Massive thank you to everyone who encouraged me to make this. It is really something special and really something that I've wanted for ages. I did also want to do a little teaser about the rest of the series. So, on the next episode, we have got most of the lines sent in. Obviously, narration lines have already been done by me, but because we've got a new narrator, he's slow. Yes, it is a he. He's slowly going through them, and he's very good in the way that he does one line, sends everyone the line, and asks everyone if this is the type of thing they want. He really wants to get it right, which is perfect. So all the lines from the Doctor have been done. All the lines from other people, well, some of the lines from other people have been done. There's a few characters that still need to be done. And I will say this: for the next episode, for some characters, we need two voice actors for the same character. See if you can work out what that means. And in terms of how much I've written, episode 1, 2, 3, 4, finalised. Episode 5, I would like to rewrite. Although it's mostly finalised, I would like to rewrite / edit because few continuity, few consistency issues. Episode 6, Now, I have started writing that, but there is someone who wants to write an episode 6, and it will be in a different structure to how I write it. There won't be any narration. That's what they're planning on doing. And I say go for it because I think it will be an interesting thing. And if everyone who listens to it prefers narration, or if I listen to it and I prefer it without narration or with narration, I'll just go with whatever. Episode 7, midway through being written. Wait, no. I'm getting confused with my episodes. Hang on. Either episode 7 has been written and it's finalised, or episode 7 is not written yet and it's not finalised yet. Sorry, I've got 2 episode 7s on my list, and because I'm working on another project with Sequel, which his stuff is really high quality. So if you do want to watch that, I would 100% recommend it. Same with Gary the Word. His stuff is also really good. So I recommend it if you're more into shorter stuff. Obviously, I do really long stuff. Okay. Yeah, so episode 7, completely done. Episode 8 is midway through being done. I've written it, but I'm not completely happy with my outcome. I mean, I've not completely written it, but I'm not completely happy with my outcome because I feel like it's a bit slow, a bit, it's meant to be a very scary one. This is meant to be the start of the very dark stuff that's happening, because later on in the series it gets dark, and episode 8 is the episode that starts that off. So yeah, episode 8 done. Episode 9 and 10 completely done. Completely happy with them. I'm thinking of maybe changing the end of episode 10. But yeah, very basically there. I like those episodes, much like I like 3 and 4. I guess I just like my 2-parters that I write. And I'm working on episode 11, and that is an interesting one. That's an interesting episode. Episode 12 and 13, they are yet to be written because I just want to get this all perfect. Actually, episode 12 hasn't even been planned. The rest of the series has. All the important episodes have been planned in this series. So episode 11 and 12 were meant to be a 2-parter, but that was taken up by episode 9 and 10. So I didn't want to have too many 2-parters. So episode 11 is a standalone thing, and episode 12 is, I still need to come up with an idea for that, or someone else is going to write it, because I don't want to write all the episodes because I like variation. And episode 13, that has been planned. That one's actually based on an idea from my dad, because he has worked in film. He's been an editor for a few films, and he has watched Doctor Who with me before, and he came up with an amazing idea, which I guess you'll have to wait for. I haven't even written it yet, so it might be about over a year and wait, maybe 2. So yeah, I know it's been taking a long time for the next episode to come, but for me, college has just started. For lots of the voice actors, work has started again because of coronavirus stopping, like the lockdown stopping. So yeah, everyone's pretty busy. Obviously they're trying their best, and that's completely fine. Hopefully, I will be able to start editing, and I'll have all the lines in by the end of this month. I have already edited about half the episode, because half the episode does just consist of me and the Doctor. So me as the Doctor. So that has started, and yeah, so that episode's done. well, being edited. And it's quite an important one in the series. Now, I do have 3 series planned. I'm just going to focus on getting series 1 done. Because if I can just get 1 series with my doctor, then that'll be cool enough. I feel like 3 would be a big ask for all the voice actors, especially the narrator. But if hopefully everyone's on board, everyone wants to be involved. All 3 series have been planned, and there's even some very, very small hints to my doctor's death in even the first series. Very, very small. You'd have to really look out for them, or I guess listen out for them. So yeah, on the writing side, everything's going pretty well. Stuff's a bit slow with getting the voice, the audio files, but that's completely fair since everyone's busy. Basically, it's going pretty smoothly. I did want to try and upload an episode every month, but that is just not going to happen with the speed I edit and the speed that I get the audio files in. I want it to be quality over quantity. So, yeah, I think that's more important. And if Series 1 doesn't finish till about 4 years in the future, I don't care, as long as it's good. If it's rubbish and it's 4 years in the future, that's a worst case scenario. If it's amazing and it's 4 years in the future that Series 1 finishes, that's a really good case scenario. If it's 1 year in the future that Series 1 finishes and it's amazing, that is the best case scenario. And one of the worst case scenarios is it never gets finished at all, and I would not like that, but I mean, it is dependent on voice actors. But, there's plenty of people in the world, so, maybe if people get tired, they can leave, I can get more voice actors, etc. So, yeah. That's everything. I think that's everything I wanted to talk about. Um, I hope you enjoy the new episode when it comes out, because it is in the process of being made. And yeah, thanks for listening to my stupid rant about my own episode. And see you. Goodbye.